So DRS, the drag reduction system, something that's actually going to be a thing of the past very soon. It's been announced that it won't be on Formula 1 cars from the 2026 season onwards because apparently it's going to be redundant. Teams and drivers will be able to overtake other competitors with relative ease. But right now it is something that's very important in Formula 1, and it's been important ever since it was introduced back in 2011. But what is it, and how much of an advantage does it actually give other drivers in a Grand Prix? Well, let's dive into this, guys. Let's have a look. Full article here on the F1Chronicle.com I'm reading from today, but if you want to check out the article in full, because I won't have time to go over it all because it's a big one, of course, but I'll just go over the key points here for you in this F1 Explain video. So the drag reduction systems in F1 can give a pursuing driver a speed advantage of around 10 to 12 kilometers an hour on straights, which is around 5 to 6 miles per hour, something like that in Imperial, and that makes overtaking significantly easier. Now, DRS is an active aerodynamic device that allows drivers to open a flap on the rear wing, reducing drag and increasing top speed. The system has been a crucial aspect of F1 racing since it was introduced back in 2011, aimed at improving the spectacle by facilitating more overtakes during a Grand Prix. But how does it work? Well, like I said, it's an active aerodynamic device and it consists of a movable flap on the rear wing of an F1 car. When it's activated, this flap opens up, reducing the angle of the wing and thereby decreasing drag as a result. The system is electronically controlled and can only be activated in the designated DRS zones during a race, typically on long straights. As explained by F1's former technical director Ross Bourne, the DRS is a device that allows the driver to reduce the drag on their car by opening up the rear wing flap. This reduces the downforce and makes the car go faster on the straights. But you can't use it on every straight and you can't use it on every lap, and here is why. You can only use it when the pursuing car is within 1 second of the car ahead during the DRS detection point. Now, this detection point is usually right before the straight that you're about to go on. However, when you have multiple DRS zones back to back, sometimes they can share the same detection point. So you might be ahead at the end of the first of the two straights, but you will still get DRS because the detection point for both DRS1 and DRS2 in this example was before the DRS1 zone. It basically allows drivers to get past without being immediately overtaken again by the car they've just overtaken. Of course, that is a controversial one, but again, this will soon be a thing of the past. And of course, speaking of zones, you can only use it during the designated zones, and that also applies to qualifying and practice as well. Now, you don't have to be within 1 second of the car ahead during this because it's not that kind of session. It's not competitive in the sense that you're actually trying to catch people, but you can only use it in those zones during those sessions. And during the race, obviously, you have to have it activated. And that car ahead, by the way, it can be a lapped car. It's not always for position. So if you've got a car that's about to be lapped by you and it's 1 second ahead, you can use DRS to overtake it. But it cannot be used during the first 2 laps of a race after a safety car restart or during wet conditions. When the rain starts to come during a Grand Prix weekend, it does usually mean that the DRS does get deactivated when it gets so wet. However, you can see it get activated when cars are still on intermediate tyres. As long as it's not raining too heavily, the race control can actually, reactivate it before it gets completely dry. And after a safety car restart, I believe the rule now is you can't use it for the first lap, but you can use it after that. And VSC, is it immediate now? I know they've changed the rules, so it's not 2 laps anymore. It's not as long of a wait. But what are these DRS zones? When are they actually, where are they actually placed? Well, it depends on the circuit. So for example, in Austria, where you've got 3 straights back to back separated by effectively 90 degree right hand corners, you've got 3 DRS zones there. You'll only get DRS zones on long straights and not necessarily flat out zones. For example, if you look at Spa, you've obviously got a DRS zone down the pit straight, and you've also got one down the back straight, which is the Kemmel straight, but you do not have one going down from La Source all the way down to Eau Rouge, because you don't necessarily want to have cars going side by side. Similarly as well, in Monaco, you've only got 1 DRS zone. That is obviously down the pit straight, and that's not actually a straight, it's actually curved. But you don't have a DRS zone down what is sometimes the fastest part of the track, which is going through the tunnel, because again, you don't necessarily want cars to be going side by side down the tunnel. DRS zones are effectively always placed along genuine straights for the most part, or at least some genuine flat out zones going into a slow corner, which is an overtaking area normally, just to aid that overtaking process. Now, I did say that obviously, you know, these cars that have DRS have a speed advantage of around 10 to 12 kilometers an hour. In terms of actual time, again, this varies depending on the circuit, but the usual aim of the DRS zone, and it's calculated by the FIA, by Formula 1, to basically give you an advantage in terms of time of around 0.3 or 0.4 of a second. Obviously, there are other factors in that, of course, you know, your setup, whether you're chasing one car, whether you're chasing two cars, things like that can all play into how much of an advantage you get, and it can lead to DRS being a bit overpowered. But at the end of the day, it's something that's very, very hard to measure even after all these years of having it in F1. And if you want to learn more about what's going to be replacing DRS in a sense, you can head over to the F1 Chronicle. Like I said, guys, there's a lot more information in this article than what I can go through during this 5-minute or so video. So do check that out. And also check out my DRS Explain video that I did quite a while now as well. I'll probably link it at the end of this video as well, which if you're on YouTube, if you're on Microsoft, just go and search it up. Unfortunately, we don't have that technology on Microsoft at the moment. But hey, I can only do what I can do. I can only use the tools that I've got available to me. So yeah, for more F1 explained and everything in between in this off season, do keep it tuned here to the f1chronicle.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell as well, and we'll see you soon, guys. Have a good one.